I love that mentality. Many more 2-0s in the future. It's good stuff. And I'd love to see a team that has struggled for a better part of Academy coming together, getting these 2-0s, and looking forward to proving around in what's ahead, Cubby.
I always love when our players just speak openly, honestly about what's going on. And for me, Prismal is always one of my favorite players in Academy because of interviews like that. So whether he's a marksman or a support, always rooting for Prismal. And for what it's worth, when it comes to his gameplay, I think he's been showing some nice signs of early improvement at support. Obviously picking up a role. You can show early improvement by just learning some basic things. Looking forward to him pushing into more of those advanced things with that improvement mindset that we always know Prismal has. So he's always willing to send it for plays. That's going to help him improve more in the long run.
Tom Kent's really good. We've seen that
I
pretty
would
much
take
for
that
the
away
last
from him.
three. Yeah, the last 3 games he has popped off. So what more does he have underneath his? Not underneath his sleeve or under his sleeve, whatever. Either way, I want to see more tricks out of the bag.
All right, well, moving on into our last and final series for the day. It is 2 teams that we expect a lot from and have high expectations for. Something I know that we talk about quite a bit when we're looking at Team Liquid and Cloud9 is, all right, we can't hold them to the same standards we hold other teams. We want a little bit more. Looking over at these rosters, they're absolutely stacked. Week after week, these players are coming out and putting on a show. Cubby, why should we expect so much more from these players than anyone else?
I mean, it's our defending Proving Grounds champions that are 25-7 in the first 32 games we've seen in Academy. I would argue that they lost a few of those games to themselves as well. As much as I kind of dislike that narrative, they are right at times. Versus Cloud9 Academy, where if you look at what this roster has accomplished between Darshan, King, and Destiny, in domestic tournaments, as well as some international tournaments throughout history as well. And then you add rookies, talent like Shaden and Copy that are developing under them. This feels like a roster for C9, they said it early in the split, where this is built with the purpose of winning Proving Grounds and getting the most out of their developmental pieces, improving over time, and making sure they're ready to win PG when it counts. We're getting closer to that mark, and we get to test our top dogs going up against C9A today, who are currently sitting in 3rd, and then 100 Thieves tomorrow, who are currently sitting in 2nd, right before PG. I find this very exciting to give our top team a true test as we exit the regular season. Not often do we get to have that as we transition into PG with how random the scheduling is, but we have 2 great matches and great tests to see how good TL Honda actually is before we get into PG.
Yeah, for sure. That's just the fact that we actually get that right at the end is a nice little treat going into this. I appreciate you, whoever does these schedules, even if it's random. I respect, I appreciate. Going into our pre-show, we've talked a lot about players' histories today, and most things are in more recent time, but we're going to take a way far back journey to OPL finals in 2019 Magical, because there's actually a couple of the players that we're about to see playing all the way back out here up against each other.
It's a trip down memory lane all the way back to 2019, back when they were playing in the OPL finals. Ayla versus both King and Destiny, the Mammoth squad. You can even see some familiar names on the side of Mammoth. You see Fudge, you see Babip, you see Triple. These are players that
Swiper's a coach.
Yeah, Swiper is the coach. You have a lot of these familiar names, but it's really important because Ayla was on the Chiefs Esport, and then it was always Mammoth favored. Mammoth were the team that everyone had as the top dogs. The bot lane from King and Destiny was unstoppable. Nobody could really touch them. And now it almost feels like the tides have changed over history, where Ayla has been the player that we now focus more on. The Ayla is the one getting that attention, getting the nominations or the talks about him being the MVP for Academy.
Baby Fudge in the bottom left.
Oh yeah,
he's grinding. He's got his tongue out. He's trying to get all the Jace combos.
This was 3 years ago. This was
King's
a while
got good
ago.
hair too. Love to see it.
Oh yeah.
All right, I think I saw Fudge in the chat earlier too. So if you're still around, it's just you two.
I hope he's
little
supporting the
baby
Academy
Fudge,
boys.
baby
Yeah.
Fudge out
Have you
here.
ever seen Fudge in real life? He's tall. He's a tall guy.
All right. Well, We're going to go back in history once again, but this one is a bit more recent history as we're going to be going back into 2021 spring finals. Here is Cloud9 Academy in PG. Cubby, take me through this one.
Again, C9, I mean, this is an org that, within their history, think of everything that C9 has given to developmental League of Legends. I mean, they're responsible for helping prospects like Blabber, like Vulcan, even like Zazel, that all came out of the NA ecosystem and, really became a fantastic pros when they competed. C9 had rosters that, won relegation tournaments that they promoted into the LCS, ended up selling those for franchise spots as well. C9, a lot of their history is written within how they've been able to develop talent. That was the last time that C9 was in an Academy final, was going up against NORG. Those are from the winners finals where they actually beat them. They lost to NORG in the grand finals. Yep. But again, as I mentioned when we started this matchup, this roster for C9, this was built to be a top dog. This was built to go all the way. They have a chance to prove that they can do that in the regular season before we hit the postseason. I want to see if they can step up to the challenge.
Yeah, our last little throwback is pretty recent. It's when you could leave your house and not melt into a puddle on the sidewalk. I am talking about spring 2022 here. And all the times that these teams have faced off against each other, I mean, these are two of our top teams that we have going on. You know that they're hungry for it. And they're two teams that have faced off against each other for the most part, up against each other. Of course, there's changing players. But.
As if, success wasn't enough from each org individually with going deep in developmental tournaments. What about some rivalry, too? As TL were the ones that knocked C9 into the lower bracket in this series. And this was a big moment that, helped TL advance to what ended up being their first PG championship.
And keep in mind, too, Team Liquid was not the favorite team. They, in fact, I think were the 4th seeded team? Well, you see 7th up there, but I think they were 4th place in the regulars. A lot of people did. Yeah. But CLG was this team that had been dominating. Cloud9 made a good argument why this was also a team to look at. And then Team Liquid, they turned up the heat even more in Proving Grounds, really proving themselves as this roster that had just been put together. Yeah, Bradley, who was the recent role swap, still winning and beating out members like Darshan, who are tenured veterans that we've seen succeed in so many ways.
The triple crit cloak GP. Taking some notes maybe from Blippo there and the hands of Bradley. But this was a very close best of 5, or best of 3, I should say. I think one of the big moments of it, one of the reasons, yes, TL was the 4 seed, but a lot of that was because, keep in mind, Bradley, Yon, and Ayla all competed with the team in lock-in while they were still trying to get visas over and get the full roster put together. So that did hurt some of their Academy performance with a lot of subs. When they were the 4 seed, I had them as my favorite for the tournament. They ended up winning the whole thing. They're entering as the favorite in the PG, I think, no matter what happens in the next 2 best of 2s coming up. And I want to see if TL can live up to it again, because I feel like the challenges they have and the challengers are stronger in summer. We're going to have to see if TL can step up to the task.
All right, I'm going to cut it off here because we're ready to hop into Champ Select so we can see how this is going to go down. I feel like I haven't heard too much from Magical, so I'm going to toss him the point. I'm going to get out of here, and I'll let you, Cubby, deal with the consequences of that.
You got to deal with me talking now. And when I look at these two teams, honestly, I think that this is a really good matchup. While Team Liquid Honda are a favored team, Cloud9 have been stepping up again. We're kind of had a little bit of stumble there at the beginning of the split where they had those roster swaps. They didn't have everyone there, but they've been slowly getting themselves together. They are just right behind. I think it's 4 games behind Team Liquid Honda at the moment. But if they take these 2 games, that would put them 2 games behind taking the first seed. And even if seeding is not necessarily the most important of be-all prize, it is still good for glory going into Proving Grounds.
I want to get to the pick ban because I think what's going on so far is pretty interesting. A lot of Enchantresses denied from Ayla. Renata, Karma, his 2 most played. But Kallista's up, and Yon's Kallista has been incredible this split. I think B1, I think TL will end up locking the Kallista. I will say maybe they're afraid the C9 has something prepped for it. Might be the case. Poppy, another big pick in this series. Poppy, it's 4-1 in the hands of Shaden, 3-0 in the hands of Armeo. And I think this gets Shaden into a Poppy Trundle matchup, which is a lot better for Armeo given the playstyle. Being that control jungler, Armeo is still just putting up fantastic performances in Academy. and maybe can take some of that experience into our young rookie jungler that has been very, very good this split. But this is a matchup where I would favor Armeo given the experience, even if Trundle is the counter that I like into Poppy, and even if that is the champ Shading will be taking.
It is, and I'm actually a bit surprised to see the Trundle taken here, because I look at what's left open. I look at that. The thing is, I know he's going to play it. I would expect it to be R3. When I look at everything else, Silas is still left open, something that Coffee's played very well, and we've seen a lot of blind pick. As you had mentioned, being another big pick for both these players. Zeri still left open. Even the Helios is left open. There's a lot that is still wide open for these two teams to take, and Lulu taken away from Ayla is another enchanter denied.
I think it sets up for Lulu plus Zeri. I'm wondering if we see Kalista and Mumu just instantly locked in here by the side of TL. Because Poppy really does dissuade a Kalista pick, and also that's just not been a champion that King has played at all this split. He has refused to touch the Kalista. So we'll see if that ends up being the lock-in for Yawn. Again, Yawn, Ayla have been a fantastic bot lane. And Yawn's Kalista, it is disgusting. It's 5-1, and the leads that TL can create with this champion, they're the best team to play it. I like Kalista better on blue side because invading Gromp and that bot side jungle on red side, or as the blue side team, it's easier to invade Gromp than it is to invade Krugs when you're playing Kalista on red. That's the closest camp you have access to. So I really like Kalista on blue. I think this should be locked in here for Yawn. But no. Okay. Curious. They're a little bit scared of the Zeri Lulu. They want to play a little bit more scaling into C9.
All right. Okay. I'm a bit surprised by that as well. I was expecting that Kalista just with how well Yawn has been playing it all season long. But Zeri is another one of those champions that he kind of made a name for himself up. Think back when Zeri first came in, Yawn was one of those premier Zeri players. And I know you're talking about the future, looking at this Twitch pickup, but Sivir is something a lot of people have been sleeping on.
I'm not a fan of Sivir. I think that Sivir at the moment, it's... you can get through some lanes like you didn't used to be able to get through, but I don't think that she's like the same. I don't think the meta really suits her right now. She get outranged by a lot of things, and I must say I am worried early because I look at this setup we have so far, and with the Poppy on the side of TL, this just screams dive bot. Dive the Lulu, dive the Sivir, set them behind. Something that TL is so good at executing as a team. I was talking about their Kalista setups. I could see them trying to resemble and create a similar setup here with the Zeri, with the Nautilus. So we'll see if that ends up being the game plan for TL, pathing towards that bot side. But of course, no solo laners taken by either team here. So we're going to see a lot of bans focused out. I like the Swain ban. It's a little bit of a lower damage comp on the side of C9 at the moment in terms of upfront damage. And in a sustained fight, Swain could just take over, and Harry was dynamite on it yesterday in their 2-0.
Dirty Harry last night, just absolutely amazing on Swain, pretty much showing, teaching a masterclass on how to play Swain, get ahead early, nobody can kill you. What was he, 10-1 by the end of the game or something like that? It was just absolutely outrageous. But outside of that, we see that is that Azir takeaway from Coffee, but Silas is still left open. I'm surprised that it hasn't been touched.
Should be banned here. I think Nautilus Assault is enough to maybe grant a Silas blind. Also, Gnar is a big pick that TL might want to think about, as Bradley, not a huge Gnar player. It is Darshan's most played. We have seen Bradley just not known for Gnar overall, but Gnar actually going to stay on the table as Gnar, Silas, what I'm really looking at. And I think a Silas lock-in for C9, knowing that Bradley is not that much of a Gnar player, could be really big.
It's got to be Silas. It just has to be Silas. I can't think of anything else that it would be here. It just worked so well, and then if the Gnar's taken on the other side, you can still counter it. You have that Silas that's going to do a lot of damage to it, but instead, we don't see that. It's an Orianna take.
I really like Coffee's Orianna. I think the Coffee, as a player, it really is flexible in the styles and the champ pool that Coffee has. And Coffee's been really scaling in the back half of the split. It hasn't just been rank 1 at Champsky with a 71% win rate, by the way. It's also been his performance in Academy. He's been fantastic the last couple of weeks. Hopefully he keeps that form up going into Harry, who is our best laning mid laner that we have in Academy. Now that Akali could go two places. As it is worth noting that Bradley's Akali is disgusting as well, being that mid lane role swap, and he's popped off on it in the top lane too. That definitely dissuades a Gnar pick from Darshan, as Akali plays very well into the Gnar. We'll see though, as it is one more champ to go. Bradley has gone through a little bit of his pool here.
Yone.
And
So
it's a
they
Yone.
hold on to the flexibility between both champions. It could be not Yon. It could be Yone on either Harry's or Bradley's hands in this game. Same with the Akali, vice versa. And I like that from Team Liquid Honda. Even with the counter pick for Cloud9, now they have to say, okay, what is it going to be? Gnar, as you talked about, has got. They have the Gnar, but I think that went down in priority once you saw both of these champions on the other side. So there it is, an Olaf takeaway, which still you're oohing and ugging about because I'm right there with you. It's not necessarily the best into either of these matchups.
I have watched Bradley win Akali versus Olaf. It's one of the few good top lane matchups for Akali. And whenever you give Bradley a good Akali matchup, we have only seen him destroy with this pick. So that's why I'm a little bit against it. I realize that, running through Poppy and a frontline heavy team could be very good for Olaf if you are able to get ahead, but that's difficult to do against TL, who are our best early game team, and Bradley has a good lane matchup into it. So I think for C9, a lot of scaling on their side, but TL has the early game prowess. They're the best team at playing with priority, getting jungle ahead. It's not about getting jungle ahead, though, with a Poppy. So I want to see if Armeo can attack the lanes. I'm expecting a dive bot, but honestly, a dive top could be set up, too. Bradley has Ignite. A lot of options early for Armeo. See what he decides to go for, as really 3 pushing lanes. He can do whatever he wants.
And I look at how the jungle matchups will play out for both sides. And we've seen historically how Armeo is as a jungler. All this control he gains, it feels like he's almost the perfect counter against how Shaden likes to play.
I think that we've seen Shaden, though, really adapt his playstyle even as a rookie. Like, when this guy came in, the first wins that they were able to pick up, it was a sub-squad, and he was Flame Horizoning everyone. He was drawing Kindred, Graves bans. Now, I think his Poppy performances have been fantastic. He's really found a balance between being that carry jungler that we know he can be from solo queue, having rank 1 and 2, but also being a supportive jungler that can help powerful solo lanes like Darshan and like Coffee get ahead. We'll have to see if he's up to the task in this one going up against Armeo.
It will be a good bout between both teams. Team Liquid Honda, our #1 team, currently in Academy. Cloud9, a possible contender against them. And with these very interesting drafts, kind of breaking the mold we've seen in the meta as of late. More of an old school style for C9 with more of the modern from Team Liquid.
All right, something I really like here from Yon. Yon has Ghost. This is one way to deal with a comp that is just going to run at you. Because really the only thing that can threaten Yon in the fights, he's just got to be really careful about a shockwave.
Yeah.
If you Ghost early and you stack up move speed, you can somewhat sidestep the zoning from Orianna if you are able to get enough. And not to mention kiting out an Olaf, dealing with a Trundle. I think the Ghost is really going to help Yon here, combined with that ultimate where you can stack up the move speed. So I like this choice from Yon. Now, for me, all eyes are on Armeo early, as it is going to be a pushing lane for TL in the bot side. Harry will get shoved in for the first few waves, but once he is able to get the bounce, Yone can have shove and has windows that he can trade very powerfully. And then top side, oh boy, does C9 have a scout ready for Bradley? Bradley? Okay.
Spots them out. Knows they're on their way. Even if you put the pillar down, should be able to get away with that. Well, he doesn't have flash, but he should have shuriken flipped out of there.
Okay, things might get really weird here, as Armeo is actually going for a Raptor start. Poppy does this so incredibly quickly. This does open you up to get out on the map. So Armeo, you can see, didn't even burn Smite. Takes that camp very fast. It's going to be a split map scenario. He's going to go take the blue side jungle of Shaden, so it's a bit of a trade. I like the response from Armeo. Really well done.
It's Darshan getting a good trade against Bradley. Where you're talking about how Bradley, he's played these matchups before, but he hasn't played it against Darshan. Darshan is one of our best top laners. So many people praise how he plays in Academy. He's the benchmark of if you can beat him, you can be even better.
Darshan's been really good this split. He has the highest gold dip to 15 among all top laners. It's one of the highest in the league. Unfortunately for C9, that actually sits with Yon, who is averaging being up 923 gold to 15. Now, Darshan's up 620. Bradley's in second at 444. Bradley also leads the league in solo kills. Guys, TL have 25 wins in 32 games. In 32 games, Bradley has 26 solo kills to his name. Yeah. He has been That's 6 above everyone else in the league when it comes to solo kills. On this Akali, we'll see if Bradley is able to get going. It is a really hard first few levels, but then things get much, much better. As here comes the Mayo.
Where'd you come from, man? And now Destiny gets first blood
Poppy tricks. Yeah, you just take the blue side camps of Shaden. You can flash over that wall. We saw Shaden do that yesterday on the Poppy, and now Armeo.
Wait a minute. This is a nice flash from Shaden to make sure it will be an overall trade globally.
I really like that, too, because Shaden burned his flash, but Poppy was able to hang on to his, so he just got all of his spells out, tanked the tower for as long as he could. That's flash advantage for the Orianna, very important for that matchup. Speaking of that, Bradley just dinged level 3, that he was able to get the Shroud that might have just saved his life going up against Darshan.
He had a massive minion wave right there where Darshan, full health, could have looked for a dive, but like you said, getting that pivotal level 3. And look at that, the flash in from Poppy, the mechanics out of Armeo.
Yeah, definitely sick mechanics being, very, very sick there. Huge flash, yeah, big time.
What, you don't like the flash board? You don't like the aggressive summoner? I can't believe you would say anything against it, Cubby.
I love it. It's good stuff from Armeo. We talked about how he had the opportunity to get a lot of his laners ahead as the Poppy. He got the bot lane ahead. We asked for that early, and now he's looking to transition it elsewhere.
He's got Swifties, too. He's not just looking to transition that anywhere. He's going to transition it everywhere. He's got all the mobility.
My gosh.
And with that Hex Flash from Ayla, too, they've got Darshan. He's only level 4. The charge into the wall with Ignite ticking. Bradley would love that kill to get him in this great state in the top lane.
That's huge. Once Akali gets ahead in this matchup, there is no turning back for the old office. Akali, you got to walk up and auto the waves. You can't do that against Akali. She's able to space it with the Q. It's really dire here for Darshan. And the setup from TL, again, taking bot lane priority, how Armeo is able to play around it, and then how Ayla capitalizes. This is available because of the first play made bot, because Ayla has early reset. He uses that to sprint top and punish Darshan. No other team in Academy is doing things like this, moving their support like this. Armeo and Ayla are just on another level. Really, really showing that against a team that is looking to challenge them in this game.
Bradley will fight against Darshan. 1v1, but now, as you called out, there's a bit better for Bradley. But he hasn't recalled. He stayed in this lane, so he's still got gold unspent.
The big thing for Bradley is that once this wave bounces back into him, Bradley will step in front of it and look to freeze it against Darshan. He will have an item advantage, likely an XP advantage, as Darshan did lose out on a lot. That wave was pushing away from him as the gank came in. So I think now that this wave's getting back into Bradley, that's where he's really going to look to punish this matchup. Rushing the Sork shoes could be a lot of damage early.
He even TPing back in lane to guarantee that the wave will be frozen and Darshan's going to be put in desolation.
Okay,
he's got 6, but it's still going to be rough. Once you get, because if we look at Bradley, he's about halfway there. So with that cannon minion, he should be able to nearly get the distance.
Yeah, he should get it in this wave. Actually, Darshan was able to deny quite a bit early, so this matchup's a bit closer than I thought off of that last gank. Darshan, early laning phase, always very strong here in Academy. That's why he's got one of the highest gold diffs at 15 in the league, and in his role, it is the highest. So, good on Darshan being able to get that wave in. He gets another reset. It is tough for Bradley to shove this one out as it is a cannon minion. So that's actually really big. Darshan was able to get that in. Really good. Oh, not a cannon wave. Okay. Darshan's going to lose this wave, but he needs to reset here. Oh, never mind.
He's canceling back. He keeps looking to see if he's going to back or not. And Bradley with the crash in.
Yeah, Bradley, he went low energy. Darshan's able to stick around, take that wave. I am still worried for Darshan.
Yeah,
stepping up in this thing gets hard.
Should have backed. I still am with you that he should have backed.
Yeah, he doesn't have Hex Drinker yet, and yeah, he's going to base now on the Cannon Wave. So, much better base for Darshan, basing on the Cannon Wave. Just
good call.
Good stuff from him. Yeah, that was the right call. He was able to get that wave. Now he has Hex Drinker. Right. Bradley will match, and then we'll see what happens for the Rift Herald play, as we are 30 seconds away from that objective coming out on the Rift. And I gotta imagine TL with this comp they've drafted, they're gonna look to push for a Rift fight. I think it's a really good time for them to fight.
They've already got that angle so far, with Bradley still trying to crash the wave in and deny as much as possible to Darshan. But you can tell that Shaden, he's in the vicinity, should be able to tick level 6 off of red buff. With Armeo having level 6 himself, he's got Copy. He wants to chase him down. Heroic charge, but they did not get the tornado to lock up. It's going to be the Keeper's Verdict that keeps him in place.
And Harry wasn't able to combo the ultimate. So I think Harry Armeo may be on a different page there. As you got to imagine the Keeper's Verdict, that knockup, that is one way you can connect the Yone ultimate for free. Not taken, though, by the side of TL. Harry will save that ult for a potential Rift Herald fight, as Armeo is going to start that up. Shaden's on the bot side of the map, and I think C9 intelligently deciding not to fight this objective.
Darshan and Bradley. A bit of a skirmish in the top lane where Bradley was the one taking most of the damage.
Yeah, Darshan basing and Bradley not matching means that Darshan has an item advantage with the Hex Drinker and the Ruby Crystal. So it is tougher for Bradley to get in here, but Darshan will spot the Herald being taken. Ayla has roamed up. Will just be a Dragon traded out for C9. So C9 down 1k early. I gotta say, given the drafts, that's about on pace. I'm not surprised this is the deficit for C9. Definitely a draft that's going to scale up as the game goes on. And we'll see how well they can defend against the Herald play for TL.
Honestly, it's not the worst for Cloud9.
No, it really isn't.
Like, I thought more with that kill for Bradley, too, there'd be a lot more pressure from the top side of the map from Team Liquid. But it is that Cloud9 have made sure that each one of their lanes is in a good state. But Copy has to use the Sombrero Shockwave just to survive and dodge the wave. That was a great flash from Copy to survive.
Well done from Copy as we see Darshan Bradley getting feisty. Bradley, he can't take that second cast in. Darshan knows it. That's part of the item advantage for Darshan. Having that Hex Drinker, hasn't even popped it yet. So Bradley behind, not able to all in this matchup quite yet, as Darshan's done a very nice job of navigating it.
Well, this is where it goes back to what you were talking about before. Bradley has played this matchup, Akali into Olaf, but it is Darshan.
He beat Tenacity with it.
He beat Tenacity, but Darshan, I think, is on a different level. Darshan is one of these players that's played for so long. He knows so many different matchups, and now he can dive Bradley even with the Twilight Shroud. Will force out a TP coming in from Harry. The dive not completed, but it will be disengaged by C9.
Yeah, they have no tools left. So honestly, C9 get quite a bit out of that.
They do.
As Bradley is now, he can't get that wave mid. So Copy's going to get a plate, get the TP out of Harry. Really nice play from C9. Even if it doesn't result in a kill, they at least get tools out of TL.
Right, TP gone. They even make sure that they survive the dive, where the TP will be back up soon for Darshan over Bradley. So they can look for the play, but Copy in pretty far out, and Ayla
That's a problem.
plus Armeo, both of them here with an Ignite ticking, and Harry, he can clean up that kill and get the kill credit for it.
Yeah, he's going to flash to make sure that gold goes in his pocket as the setup from Armeo, Ayla. Again, it's too good. These guys are just on another level as a jungle support duo running maps in Academy. They were the big reason that TL won PG in spring, are now first in our standings in summer, and Ayla came to play going up against Diamond, the Oceanic support, or Destiny, I should say. Destiny can't do much on the Lulu early, but we see Ayla taking full advantage of the windows that he is being granted and making big plays for TL.
Well, this is where it goes back to the conversation we were having before, where back in the OPL, Mammoth with King and Destiny. That was the conversation. Everyone was talking about every one of those players. Where Ayla on Chiefs Esports, he was good. People kind of noticed him, kind of were like, oh yeah, he's there. But now it's his time. This has been his time to shine in Academy. He has proven many times now in Academy how good of a support he is and how well he has learned.
I think the big difference about, this split for TL is, it is somewhat a crime that we still have Ayla in Academy. As I mean, this guy is a stealthy support, an LCS level support, as he was able to show during lock-in. But I think one of the big differences for TL is honestly how Yawn and Bradley have evolved and improved for this split. Yawn, statistically, looking at what he's just listing on the stat sheet, it's filthy. He's up 923 gold, 15 on average, and is leading the league in DPM at 803. I know we have more fights in Academy, but the way that this guy is playing, positioning, and playing aggressively, his landing's really improved. He's gotten a lot better, and now we have a play mid. Copy is going to take a lot of health.
Copy, but Shaden was there to make sure when the snapback happened, and Shockwave could follow up, getting a lot of damage onto Ayla. He's burning, but they still have to fight.
TL's here.
Yawn shows up. He's got it all, and they can start cleaning up the flank. Works perfectly for Bradley and Yawn.
And C9 took that play, not thinking that TL could collapse in time, but TL, they got there to make sure that Ayla was able to stay alive. They got there to turn around the play. And the gold goes to the pockets of Bradley and Yawn, the two members that we've been saying have been stepping up this split. They're going to be fed this game. We're going to have to see if they can cash it in.
The two youngest players on the team, well, youngest in terms of their competitive stint. We've seen Bradley only for a little bit of time, and Yawn as well. And look at how they both position. The flanks they both go for, it's nearly perfectly timed from each.
King's here, but that top wave is shoved in for Darshan. He can't answer except with a TP. He goes into the turret. We're before the 14-minute mark. And Yawn just flashes in, shreds everyone with Bradley. The mid-game for this comp from TL is so scary. C9, if they take a fight, it cannot be on even footing. And you cannot make mistakes like this against TL. This team is too damn good in the early game. Again, averaging being up over 2,300 gold at 15 out of 32 games in our league. That is ridiculous. And because of the mistakes that C9 made, because of the draft where TL made sure to index into this early game, they have a 4K gold lead early in this one.
They're one of the teams, actually, I think they're the only team from spring to summer that stayed together. And you can see how well it's worked out for them, where they can dive so perfectly.
I mean, just look at how clean that is between Ayla and Armeo, man. Like, ult is popped by Darshan. They just walk away so he can't continue the duration of the Ragnarok, and then just redive. They make it look way too easy.
They do. I mean, at this point where it looked like it could have been an even game, it could have been back and forth, Team Liquid blow up the map and completely take control.
And this is what TL does best. I'd say first, it's making sure the map gets in this state, but second, it's closing out these games. I mean, this is a comp where, again, TL, they do have to close out this game. If it goes to 40 minutes, C9 are very much favored. But TL is so good at making sure that they turn these big leads into 25-minute, 28-minute wins on a consistent basis in TL. And it's an attempt for a play to answer the Dragon just snagged by Armeo, but C9, they're late to it. And they're just going to leash the objective for TL.
They can't fight. They know that. They see how fed Bradley is. He's got the Hex Tech rocket pellet as well. They understand that they are not in a position to have a full 5v5 fight.
Rotation's too clean. I mean, part of that, Yawn got the bot wave pushed up, able to shift mid. Once Yawn shows mid, C9 knows, hey, there's no way we can fight with even numbers. We're already behind. Their comp's really strong right now. Can't take this one. And Yawn turns that into even more. The clean macro, they do drop a wave bot, but they take that mid-outer turret. And C9 continue to fall behind.
Arguably the best turret to take, too. If that's got to be your first one, that is a great showing of things to come for Team Liquid Honda in this game, where I'm just even wondering if Cloud9 have a hope to bounce back in this game.
They scale. They scale really hard. Leandres is on Poppy's Orianna. They can take stats away from Poppy with Shaden. I think the best chance that C9 has right now is to try and just play for Nautilus picks. Nautilus is a paperweight going up against Trundle and Orianna. Try to use Pillar to catch him out if you are C9. I think a roam squad between Shade and Destiny and maybe even Copy's good, but at the moment, they've had to shift Copy into a side lane and deal with Harry. And Copy, I don't know if he knows that Harry's here.
Now he does. Takes a little bit of damage for it.
Yeah, now
he's able to dish some back. But it is still rough for the side lanes. They're in a poor position for Cloud9, where Darshan, he was doing so well in the lane phase, but there's a couple of plays done well, a couple ganks from Team Liquid have now set Bradley on this pace where he is going to control any lane he's a part of.
Bradley's Akali, I'm from his mid lane days to his top lane days. Role swap doesn't matter. Bradley's form and Akali, it's always been clean. As him and Harry showing off some of that flexibility, some of that champion pool as TL.
Nice dredge line onto Shaden. Shockwave will pull him back. They got to be careful. Yeah, he is way squishy and gets chomped down, but they can trade it back. They've got the damage even with a wild throw onto Shaden. Look at Yawn. I'm looking at Yawn and seeing how much damage he's dishing to Copy. How much he's chasing him down. He's already got one. They want even more. Flash in. Triple kill for Yawn.
And Yawn cleans up the mess that this team creates on a consistent basis. That's why his numbers are filthy in this split. 803 DPM. One of the top marksmen that we have in the league. Yawn is stepping up to the plate. He's performing against King and Destiny. And now it is just a massive lead for TL. We get a second look as this is somewhat what I was talking about, turning Nautilus into that paperweight. Subjugate, Shockwave. Nautilus is so weak. Shaden flashes forward and net the kill. But Yawn's here, and Yawn's here to play. Lulu cannot stop him. Yawn has the ghost running, sees the opportunity to step up, and Yawn takes it.
I mean, it's just a great play, right? You see how much damage he does, how he dodges away from the fights. It's a reason why Zeri's usually banned away from him. Zeri and Kalista, how well he pilots both champions. Near unstoppable, and here in the jungle, they cut out Shaden, who's trying to just get a gromp, and now dies to a rampaging Bradley.
It's all TL across the map. Yawn, yeah, that Zeri, it's 7-1 so far in this split. He's the guy that had the first clip that went viral on this champion. Might have been responsible for all the Zeri nerfs as well, partly, especially early on, as this champion just continues to be nerfed and continues to be in the meta, thanks to that magic damage crit. Love that. Please take that away from the game, Riot.
Yes.
if I have any power as the weak powerless Academy caster that I am, I will use it to take away the magic damage crit from Zeri. That's all I request.
Coffee had a good dodge away from Harry right there.
Nice.
Still, this is looking very dire for Cloud9, where it seems like that scaling option that they had is never going to get to that point. We're only 19 minutes into the game, and we have an 8,000 gold lead for Team Liquid Honda.
I mean, just look at the gold differential between the marksmen. Holy cow. Yawn, that triple kill. That's been so expensive for C9. Yeah. As Yawn and Bradley especially are the ones that really are the benefactors of this big lead that TL have created for themselves. And C9, again, they don't really have any playmaking. Like, there's no ball carrier for Orianna. The goal for them is to kind of use the move speed they have and kite and play around the zoning tools of, you know, the ball on Ori and the shockwave. But if you can't get any control of the map, you can't get to the river first. That's kind of useless against TL. And TL, I mean, with the lead they have, it's just going to be a free dragon.
There's no way to stop them for Cloud9. Really, their hope now is not even to delay the game, because that's not going to be possible. They have to somehow have a perfect pick on a Yawn completely away from the team if they want any chance to even get to the potential of scaling.
Yawn is down flash. That is something that Trundle can do well. If someone is down flash, you can punish. I'm looking at Poppy right now. As we talked about, Ayla being the paperweight. Poppy with Subjugate on. Take away a lot of the stats as it is a full tank build from Armeo, as we expected. Frozen Heart, I actually really like that. Coming out against 3 auto attackers. Good call from Armeo.
It is a good pickup. It is a good pickup. The general leading the charge for sure. He's got the heroic charges each time to find out members of Cloud9. They're playing it patiently at the moment. Team Liquid, they understand macro. They understand when to slow down the game, scale up, get those items necessary, and have the spikes around certain objectives.
And C9 just have no answer. They're losing all their camps. They're getting bought out.
Well, what can they do?
Deficit. They can't do anything. They have to wait. They have to pray. They have to make sure that they can try and connect with some of these picks.
I think unless they get a pick on a Yawn, I don't know what else they can really do.
It could be a big overextension. Saber Lulu, you can turn around fights. C9 have access to a lot of move speed. So if TL goes too deep or makes any overcommit, I think that's what C9 are waiting on at the moment.
While we wait for that, teams starting to scatter a bit. More vision control for Team Liquid Honda around this Baron Pit, because they are starting to complete some of those items. Looking at their inventory, they have 3 items completed for Yawn. That's been for some time now, but that's still impressive to have. It's so early.
It's so early.
It feels like this game is far longer than it actually has been. It's not even 22 minutes yet.
Yeah, it feels like Yawn's actually playing with TL money, like, in the actual game. Armeo.
Armeo had to flash away. The Subjugate made him really squishy, so he knew to get out of there. He knew that was not their time to fight, but Yawn, those just crits from the zaps, just peppering them low.
That's a lot of health removes. Is that enough for TL to start? I know Armeo had to burn the flash, not the most valuable. That is spotted. There is a nice ward here from C9, but that's going to be spotted by the sweeper. So now C9, they have to step up, try and get vision down. They do have 1 blue trinket available on Poppy. We'll see when he uses that, as Yawn is stepping into a 1v4, zoning everyone off, and taking the health bar away from Destiny.
Those zaps from Zeri, how much damage it did to poor Destiny. He just walks up and takes 1 zap to the face and down below 50%. And here's
this setup. It's wild. Oh,
yeah, it is. And speaking of wild, they've got the depth charge in Harry, which will take out Destiny in the back line. Keeper's verdict was channeled but not completed because why bother punting him away?
When was the last time you've seen a setup around Baron where the marksman is the one zoning? Because that's exactly what Yon's doing here with the boost speed again. There's no hard CC that C9 can use to control him. Yon knows this.
That damage, man!
He's solo zoning him as the marksman.
One zap hits 3 members, and they can't fight anymore. Yon on Zeri. This is an impressive game, to say the least, but the fact that he's playing with such confidence shows that this player has to be more in the conversations when we talk about the domination that Team Liquid Honda have.
And guys, I think it's a good time to remind our viewers at home, Harry, Yon, and Ayla, all their contracts are expiring after this year. If Yon isn't in LCS next year, I swear to God, I will riot. What else can this guy do? There's nothing else that he can do to prove that he can play at the next level. He's been dominating this split. He is leading the league in all stat categories that you could possibly have. Not even just at his role, in the entire league. I know he's playing on the best team, but we are seeing individually how Yon is stepping up into that mantle that we know that Yon could be as a carry. We always love to have the Yon versus Spawn conversation. I think Spawn, deservedly so, has gotten his shot in LCS. I can't wait until Yon's able to do the same thing when his time comes, because God, I feel like he deserves it based on his play in Academy.
I said it before, but Team Liquid Honda Academy, if you put them in the LCS, they would be a top 4 team. They are so good. I have that much confidence in them that I will say something as absurd as that.
That's okay. That's the top 4 team in the LCS is capped, but they're really good.
But I will stand by it.
They're a playoff team in the LCS. Trust me, mathematically, you don't want to play around with hot takes that are too hot. Yeah. But at the moment, Harry is in the side lane.
So is Bradley.
Yeah.
Both of them trying to crash waves simultaneously with a 1-3-1. Baron on all 5 of their heads. Slowly but surely controlling Cloud9.
I'm gonna use something here in the downtime that our producer Joey gave us in the pre-show. Given that Harry is a minor region import, would you say that Harry is Harry Poggers in the Half-Blood Prince?
I
feel like that could be good branding. I know Dirty Harry was recommended.
I like Dirty Harry.
But I feel like Harry Poggers is, something that has some potential as well. I'm just throwing that out.
It does have potential. It definitely does have some potential. And sometimes you definitely got to pog with the plays he's able to make. And right now, as much as I want to focus on the branding of Harry, I am just looking at Yon. I'm looking at Bradley, the 2 younger players.
This game's over, man. Come on.
I just can't. I'm impressed. It's the 2 younger players. And I want to praise them even more for how well they've stepped up in so many of their games.
That PG final, it was not gifted, it was taken by TL in a tough best of 5, but they've only improved from there. Is now Ayla.
This fight, we already know the conclusion, and we just got to get through it. It's all the kills going over to Yon. Yon chasing him down into the fountain. He's got 2. He could go for more realistically, but they just want the game. They want to make sure that they continue their domination of the summer split here in Academy. Team Liquid Honda, nearly untouchable by anybody, even if you're right there on their heels in the standings. They are the best team.
That challenge that we said our top team was going to have. 4 tough games to end our regular season against the top 2 teams we have below them in the standings. Game 1, they answer it with flying colors. And the people that step up, I mean, yes, it's the setups from Armeo, Ayla. The way they play the map is so good. But then you get gold into the pockets of Bradley and Yon, the 2 youngest players in this roster. Look at what they can do with that gold. Look at how easy they made that game. Look around the setup that their teammates had for them. TL seemed to be firing on all cylinders just at the right time before postseason.
And again, just praise these young, talented players on Team Liquid Honda. Bradley, he didn't get all the spotlight, even though he was 4-0 on Akali. But that was only because Yon had Zeri, and he was 5-0 on the champion before that last fight. It's just impressive to see how well these players have grown into their respective roles. One being a role swap, one a kid that started off on 100 Thieves next as Akinoki, and now here he is as Yon, showing to people that he deserves that LCS spot that you're talking about, Cubby. But right now, we're going to toss it a break. When we come back, we'll have our last halftime show of the day with our host, Sierra, so make sure you stay tuned.